became, in everybody's minds, the result of a kind of scandal, and she became...
Joan Crawford's life was never ordinary. Born Lucille Fay LeSueur, on March 23, 1906, in San Antonio, Texas, she grew up surrounded by poverty and struggle. Her father abandoned the family when she was just a baby, and by age 11, Joan was working as a laundress to help her mother. Yet even then, she had an inner fire, a drive that would eventually make her one of Hollywood's brightest and most complicated stars. At 12, a terrible accident nearly took her leg, leaving her with lifelong scars and a deep obsession with cleanliness and control. Those early hardships shaped the woman who would one day conquer Hollywood, rising to fame. By the time Joan reached her late teens, she had her sights set on show business. She started as a dancer in Chicago before heading to New York City, where her ambition caught the eye of an MGM producer. A $75 a week contract brought her to Hollywood in 1924, and with it, a new name. After a fan magazine contest, Lucille became Joan Crawford. Her early films like Our Dancing Daughters, 1928, made her the face of the Roaring Twenties, glamorous, confident, and unstoppable. Audiences loved her energy and grit, and by the 1930s, she was one of MGM's top stars. Even when sound films replaced silence, Joan adapted, perfecting her voice and proving she was more than just a pretty face. Hollywood's leading lady. Throughout the 1930s and 1940s, Joan Crawford redefined what it meant to be a leading lady. She played working women who rose from hardship to success, roles that mirrored her own life. In Grand Hotel, Dancing Lady, and Sadie McKee, she embodied resilience, but her biggest triumph came in 1945 with Mildred Pierce. After years of career setbacks, she fought for that role and won, literally. Her performance earned her an Academy Award for Best Actress and revived her career. Joan was no longer just a movie star. She was a Hollywood survivor, a life of luxury and loneliness. At the height of her fame, Joan purchased a stunning Brentwood estate in Los Angeles, a Spanish villa she lovingly called El Jodo, combining her name with her then-husband, Douglas Fairbanks, Jr. The mansion became the setting for glamorous parties attended by Hollywood's elite. Behind the polished image, however, Joan was fighting her own demons, the pressures of fame, failed marriages, and a growing dependency on alcohol. Despite her success, she longed for family. Unable to have children, she adopted 4, Christina, Christopher, and twin daughters, Kathy and Cindy. To the world, they were the perfect Hollywood family, but behind closed doors, life was far more complicated. The will that shocked Hollywood. When Joan Crawford died on May 10, 1977, her estate was worth about $2 million, a fortune built through decades of work and her role as a board member at Pepsi-Cola. But her will made headlines for a heartbreaking reason. She disinherited 2 of her children, Christina and Christopher. The will stated, "It is my intention to make no provision for my son Christopher or my daughter Christina for reasons which are well known to them." The decision caused an uproar and led to a bitter legal battle. Though the siblings eventually received a small settlement, the family rift never healed. Christina later released her explosive memoir, Mommy Dearest, portraying Joan as an abusive perfectionist, a book that forever changed the star's legacy. The legacy of a legend. Joan Crawford's life was a study in contrasts, glamour and pain, power and vulnerability. She was a woman who built herself from nothing, who fought her way into stardom through sheer will. Yet she also carried the scars of loneliness and control that came from her difficult beginnings. Today, she's remembered not just for her fierce performances in classics like Mildred Pierce and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, but for her complexity, the star who defined old Hollywood and whose spirit, some say, still lingers where the lights once burned brightest.